Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Friday the 8th of February. So I'm starting off looking at Eurodollar, looking at the weekly picture at the moment, mainly because we're just back to that weekly 200 here. Now it's been hand railing it. It's been holding on to it long enough and finding support. Is it going to break this time? We've had some pips through it, so there's a chance it could pip through it. So that's really the reason I was just looking at that. We do still have, I mentioned it yesterday, this monthly S1 below could still be a target here. Well, still is a target here really for the downside there. So there is still potential downside there. We waited hours yesterday for a little retracement up, and when one came on a smaller time frame, it stopped us out. Okay, it was an aggressive stop, but had a more decent retrace through the Asian session later on here, and that's rolling over a little bit again at the moment. So still got the daily pivot untouched. I mean, the problem I have with the euro at the moment is the range. It's now getting very, very tight. It's very slow. The only good thing about it is really it's more of a swing trading currency in terms of if you just sold it and left it, you'll be doing all right. But slowly, and doing all right slowly is fine. But at the moment, well, just need to wait and see what happens first thing this morning. But I would still, really, I'd liked it to come up to that 60.50 to sell into to have a bit more of a retrace. Don't really want that to happen now. Just hit the daily pivot and tick that off. It's air kissed it already. Maybe look at post 8 o'clock just to get into a sell with maybe a slightly bigger stop and see if we can run it down to that 113 area. Now that 113 area may in itself could become quite a support area. Traders will be buying around the whole numbers. Whole numbers provide decent support at times. It's still 30 odd pips down there, so there's a possibility that it could make a good trade for us. Looking at the pound recovered a bit yesterday and then fell back. I'm not too sure who was listening to what. It was a weird old one. I was listening to the radio later in the day, and they were saying how the everything had been cut, and to be fair, lots of things had been cut, but there'd also been a more bullish comment made, which Carney hadn't made for a while, and it sort of picked it up. Now there's a lot of reference into the GDP dropping because of Brexit, but if you look worldwide, GDP is dropping across the world, not because of Brexit, but because the growth is slowing down overall. However, they like to put it onto Brexit, so of course it's to Brexit. However, well, for whatever reason, GDP is slowing up here. It's not particularly good. The interest rate increases slightly less at the moment, and it's a bit unknown if we go into a no-deal Brexit. So that's still there. Not a lot has really changed in this, although he was more positive. If of course there was a Remain, which was a total shock for an unbiased man. Oh no, he is biased. Sorry. Anyway, regardless. Where we are from here then is a little bit more of a question to play here. We've got this big bullish engulfing that came from following the news yesterday, which has been selling off back to the daily pivot, which has just been hit. Now from here really it's to see if to be fair, the pound has been performing largely better than a lot of the other pairs, and could continue to do so. The markets are looking for some sort of darling, and I'm wondering if the pound will take off this morning. So I will be watching for the bullish side post 8 o'clock, see if we can get into something there if it shows up. But I won't ignore the short opportunities if it starts breaking below that daily pivot. So there we are, very pivotal today on the pound. Dollar yen. Let's get to the dailies first on dollar yen. Well, it's just consolidating here. It's playing a tune every day, up and down, up and down. And you can see it through this weekly 4-hourly chart. I say weekly 4-hourly chart. How can you have a weekly just a 4-hourly chart? Just showing the weekly pivots though. Chopping away here between a small range between a midi there and its R1. So it's pretty range bound, and again the hourly shows just that. If it breaks above the daily pivot here, it becomes bullish back up towards its R1. It's having a lot of selling coming into that 110
just over the 110 area. There's a lot of I say a lot of selling here, lots of selling coming into that sort of level. So that's its main point. But at some point it's going to break that. But whether it's this time, we'll see. Okay, so more difficult there. Now the Aussie's been caned a little bit more, not massively by the looks of things here. There was, again, funny enough, a reduction in GDP forecasts, probably because of Brexit. I did get just fed up with that excuse used for everything. Sorry, but there we go. So what's happening here on the Aussie dollar? Well, it's sold off a little bit here because the GDP being revised downwards. We've seen the reaction to that. It's bounced back up quite well. Pivots are so pinched because of the lack of movement yesterday. We could get back up to that daily pivot. Would I want to be trading this intraday or doing anything with it at the moment? Not really. Maybe you take a look at it on Monday and see if we can get into more of a. I'm still thinking, well, if everything's been downgraded, whether we'll see more downside. So I'll take another view on that on Monday though. And the Canadian dollar finally, Canadian dollar started pitching up again yesterday, and sure enough, there you go, finally caught that monthly pivot. Run into some key resistance points here. There's 34, the 50 just above there as well. Maybe create a reaction. But like most of these pairs, they softened against the US dollar yesterday. Well, this was no exception. Still, well, it's extremely where it is, so any retracement could give us another push up, I guess. Certainly the potential there. Okay, it's not an intraday trade for me, so I wouldn't be really looking at that. If you were looking to swing it short, well, you may just want to wait for a little bit more of a signal. So that is pretty much it. News-wise today, we've already seen the Reserve Bank of Australia coming out with their policy statements. We've got FOMC speakers done. That was at midnight as well. So we've got the Canadian numbers to look forward to today at 1:30. Employment change, employment rate. We'll be sitting on the edges of our seat at 1:30. Perhaps we won't. Anyway, have a great weekend, and I'll catch you back on Monday. Bye for now.